They tell me you're a man with true grit.
What do you want, girl? Speak up at supper time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you asked for it. It's time for tonight's edition of True Grit. We're going to drop the hammer. We got a great show for you tonight. Glad you're tuned in. We've got our good friend Brent Prior as our guest, former modified ace. Now he's just kicked back, taking it easy. How you doing, Brent?
Good. Good.
All
How
right.
are you guys?
Pretty good.
Doing well.
I'm Shane Davis, your host, former IMCA modified national champion, and Pat Moore, sprint car extraordinaire. Pat, how you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Glad to be here.
Yeah. All right.
Glad to be here.
Okay. Well, hey, we didn't have any race in action at Davenport Speedway this week because
Lots of music or something.
Mississippi Valley
That's
Fair.
right.
And man, they had them packed in there. Great music all week long. Great fair. I think people just wanted to get outside and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
And so we had to take a couple of Friday nights off. We're going to be back in action this coming Friday. That's going to be August 13th. And we're going to have the Ronnie Whedon Memorial.
Outstanding.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Outstanding.
What a legend. You remember old Ronnie Whedon, Brent?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, something like that.
I've followed him a few times at a modified.
No kid, man. What was that he had on the back of his car? It's not how much fights left in the old dog. No, it's not how much fights left in the old dog, but how much dogs left in the fight or something like that.
Something
anyway,
like that, yeah.
You know, I should have had it memorized because we read that several times.
Yeah, I followed him a few times.
Hey, I want to let you know, Rob Toll was scheduled to be on the show tonight. He had something come up last minute, and so we just told Rob we'd get him on a show at a later date, and thank God we called Brent Prior up, and my old buddy Brent was able to come on the show with us.
That's right. That's right. Even though we didn't have any local racing, there was a lot of national big-time stuff going on.
Yeah.
World of Outlaw late models, they ran up in Cedar Lake Speedway, the USA Nationals. Cedar Lake, Ashton Winger nipped Chase Younghands right at the on the Friday night program, won the $6,000 to win, and then I don't know if you guys saw the 100 lapper on Saturday.
Sure.
I'll tell you what, Kyle Bronson absolutely ran the wheels off this car. He led right about 80 laps of the 100. It was a 100 lapper. He led right about 80 laps, a giant cushion, beating the cushion in a very Bobby Pierce-esque performance. Ultimately, it was all for naught, though. After leading 80 laps, he hit the cushion too hard and peeled the left rear tire off while battling. Jonathan Davenport came from 11th, just kind of slow and steady, picked his way up to the front, ended up taking the $50,000 victory home.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great show. Great show. Lucas Oil had the weekend off, so a lot of those guys were up there. However, they're running starting this Thursday the annual North-South 100 down in Union, Kentucky. And then that segues nicely to World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Actually, I'm going to talk about World of Outlaw Sprint Cars because
let's have it.
all eyes are on sprint car racing this week. I'm not actually going to talk about that. Friday and Saturday last week, the World of Outlaws ran down at Pevely, Missouri, the Ironman 55.
All right.
And if you've never been down to Pevely to run a 55 lapper in a sprint car around Pevely, there's a reason why they call it the Ironman.
Oh, yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Woo! You've fallen out of the seat after about 10 laps at that joint. Sheldon Haudenschild, Jack Haudenschild's son, absolutely has that place wired. Won a second consecutive Ironman 55 down there. He is absolutely in a class all by himself.
Okay.
He won the $30,000 Saturday night win down there. Thursday and Friday at Knoxville were prelims for the 360 Nationals. Gio Scelzi took home the 360 Nationals up at Knoxville last Saturday. Gio Scelzi is Dominic Scelzi's son. Dom Scelzi, who's the drag racer, actually has both of his sons running sprint cars. Gio's here in the Midwest, and then his other son is running out in California.
Hey, Pat, I want to let everybody know, too, we've got a message board up there. Hey, if you got a question for Brent, please put it up on the message board.
Yeah.
CJ Cross saying, Brent, you are so funny.
I like it.
You, one of our regular slot car racers in the winter months, and he knows who Brent is. He's just kidding around. And, of course, Brooke Holzman, never heard of her before, but she's beautiful. She got a great life and a good-looking grandson.
Yeah.
And,
How about that?
think you're kind of proud of that guy.
Yeah,
Nice.
He's already got Grandpa whipped.
All right, nothing wrong with that. That's how it works
Right
with
here, right?
grandkids.
Right on his
Yeah.
little finger. Nice. Very cool.
All right, so hey, Jackson County Speedway, we'll just give you a quick rundown there. Folks, we want to let you know this is not a results-driven podcast. We've looked at all the numbers. When we get the guest on the show, the numbers ramp up, quickly. So we realize that a lot of people have my Race Pass app today. If you don't have it, it's free. Get it. You can see, if your favorite drivers at your favorite racetrack. You can watch where they're running in their qualifier and get the results after the races are over. We'd also like you to check it out on iowaracingnnews.com. And you can get all the latest racing results on iowaracingnnews.com. So here we go. Jackson County Speedway modified. Chris Zog, the number 9Z, New Liberty, Iowa, picked up the win Saturday night up at Jackson County Speedway in the Sport Mod division. The Candyman, that yellow number 33, Jared Franzen, with the win in the Sport Mod division. And Jeff Larson hopped in a stock car and picked off the stock car win up at Jackson County Speedway. It was their Hall of Fame night. They inducted some great drivers. Terry Ryan sat on the pole of the 1976 Daytona 500. He was inducted into their Hall of Fame. We also had Chuck Lukemeyer. He drove the number 10 car in late model, another Hall of Fame inductee up there. And so a lot of great drivers getting into the Hall of Fame. And, I like that because they paved the way for the racing that we see today.
Without a doubt.
And Jimmy Havel, another one of the drivers that I always like making it into the Hall of Fame. So let's go to East Moline Speedway, the Greg Durbin Memorial. 30-lap modified feature, $2,008 to win. Travis Denning, brand new sheet metal on that car from Sterling, Illinois, picked off that 30-lap feature win. Sport Mod division, again, it was Jarrett Franzen, the Candyman, in the number 33, picking up the win. And in street stock, Jesse Owen, the number 95, comes home the victor. And once again, for complete racing results on this track or any of your favorite tracks, go to iowaracingnnews.com.
Nice. Yep. And just 2 short weeks from now, actually right now, we're getting ready. I'm going to be heading out of here on Wednesday, going up to Knoxville for the Knoxville Nationals. The 60th annual Knoxville Nationals start
Great
Wednesday.
racing.
Oh, yeah. The Capitani Classic was last night. It's in honor of Ralph Capitani, longtime promoter in Knoxville.
Yep.
David Gravel won. The Fords, Tony Stewart's Fords actually ran really well.
Yeah.
There should be contenders for the Knoxville National starting on Wednesday.
And coming up at Davenport Speedway in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks.
That's right.
We're going to have that Quad Cities 150, sponsored by Hoker Trucking. One driver could collect over $50,000 over 3 nights at Davenport Speedway. A triple-header weekend of slide jobs and photo finishes awaits a World Outlaw Morton Building late models in August 26th, 27th, 28th over there at Davenport Speedway. The series will make its 7th, 8th, and 9th stop at the Davenport, Iowa racetrack. And for the Quad Cities 150, presented by Hoker Trucking. Thursday, August 25th and Friday, August 27th events will be full shows. They're going to run the World Outlaw late models. They're going to run IMCA modifieds and IMCA sport mods. So both those nights will have a 40-lap feature event, $10,000 to win each night, Thursday and Friday. Then we're going to have that set up a little differently on the qualifying. It'll be an every lap matters format that'll be used for the weekend, meaning drivers will score points based on qualifying, heat races, and features. Those points will be will set the Dryden heat race lineups for Saturday's 70-lap finale, paying $30,000 to win. Now, some of the past winners, 2020, it was Brandon Shepard, not only picked up the win on May 29th, May 30th, and July 28th. 2019, Jimmy Owens, the Newport Nightmare, was champion on July 24th. 2018, it was local racer Chad Simpson, the number 32 car. 2007, Brian Harris picked up the win. In 2004, it was Brian Burkoffer, we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, picking up the win. So a 4th straight win, if Shepard wins that thing coming up here, would move him up another rung on the ladder toward World of Outlaws history. The new Berlin, Illinois driver is 1 win away from tying Darrell Lanigan for second on the all-time win list, 74. and 5 wins away from matching Josh Richards, 78, who's sitting up at the top. So the triple header is also another stop on Shepard's journey to tie Richards for the most series championships. The Rocket Shep currently holds an 88-point lead over Chris Madden. Madden is one of the drivers trying to knock Shep off his throne this season. The Gray Court, South Carolina driver is tied with Shepard for the most wins in 2021, 4, and top 10s, 25. And a lot of, if you don't make a race at Davenport Speedway this year, you got to make that 3-day show coming up on the 26th, 27th, and 28th. After the races, Pat,
That's right.
Hey, the party's just getting started.
Yeah, this is not just a race. This is becoming an event.
Yeah.
It starts 2 weeks from this Thursday, right?
Right.
It's not just a race. This is becoming an event. So if you're not there, man, you're missing out. What all kind of additional non-racing stuff?
Okay, we got the the bar underneath the grandstands, which is top flight.
This is nice.
Beautiful facility.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And that's the way that Davenport Speedway and the
Yes,
Mississippi
sir.
Valley Fairgrounds and Sean Loader do things. August 26th, we're going to have the Dirt Road Rockers rocking the night away on Thursday night. August 27th, Friday night, after the races, we're going to have Just Cuz rocking through the night. And then Saturday, after the races, we're going to have Bad Hair.
So you
playing
get racing and live music?
and live
Those
music.
are two of my favorite things. You throw baseball in there, and
Well,
I,
hey, we're
I
working
just
on it.
may never go home.
If you want a great hotel deal, Isle of Capri is the official hotel for this race.
Nice.
So if you call there, you want to reserve a room, just let them know, hey, I want the World of Outlaws
Discount.
discount, and they're going to give it to you. Now,
Beautiful
Hoker
rooms there,
Trucking
too.
is also going to be doing a Toys for Tots drive, so we're going to have tables set up and large boxes where you can drop off those toys. So if you got any new toys and you want to donate and help out a kid in need, come Christmas time, bring it to Davenport Speedway coming up World Outlaw Weekend, and we're going to be doing a Toy for Tot drive.
This should be quite an event.
Oh, it should be. And then for all you guys who like playing cornhole, noon on Saturday, we're going to have a cornhole tournament at the Quad City 150 presented by Hoker Trucking. So make sure and sign up, bring your bag boards, and be ready to play cornhole. And in addition to that, we're going to have a car show right there on the grounds, too. It'll
Nice.
be noon to 4 o'clock.
Nice.
So I'm telling you, so much cool stuff that weekend. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep thinking about all this stuff. But tickets for the grandstands, $35 to get in Thursday and Friday. Saturday is going to be $40. Tickets for the pit area are $40 Thursday and Friday, and then $45 Saturday. And remember, not just the World of Outlaw late models. We're going to have the IMCA modifieds and sport mods that'll be with us, putting on a great show too. So check it out. Always a great track. I mean, our last race we had there was a Mars race.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I mean, literally
.026, I think it was,
0.026, yeah.
which is like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to call that race. I mean, I was
know.
standing with you on the booth, and we were right on the line, and I'm like, how?
Thank God for
it was like-
transponders.
exactly.
You know, and last year we had the
Exactly.
same thing on the quarter mile. We had Ricky Thornton Jr. coming across the line with B Shep, and it was another small number like
That's
that.
right.
That,
That's right.
really, when I was looking at it, Rick Eshelman, the series announcer, called it for Ricky Thornton, but when we looked at the computer screen, the transponders never lie. They had B Shep with the win.
That's right. You know what? And shout out to the guys that and their whole crew that do the track prep, because it's all of that hard work. And Davenport's starting to get a reputation. And I've been around for a year or two now, but Davenport's gotten that reputation of having a first class racing surface to where you can put on phenomenal shows like that they don't rubber up and become a single file. Follow the leader kind of race, that you have 2 grooves, 2 lanes, multiple grooves, and put on some phenomenal racing.
That's right. And then the last thing I want to mention is August 21st, we're going to have the Brit Montgomery Memorial. That race is going to be up at Makokata Speedway. It'll be on a Saturday night. They'll also have the Holland with Hoker Super Late Models, Sport Mods, 4 stocks, and the American Iron Racing Series. That's coming up on August 21st. Makokata, the Brit Montgomery Memorial. Brit,
Nice.
one of 3 brothers of racing legend Dee Montgomery, drove the number 32 for a lot of years, and Brett flagged a lot of local tracks here, lost his life due to cancer, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. But show your support for that family by checking out that race. So,
Very cool.
hey, Wookie, you got a picture for us up there on the screen? Yes, sir. All right.
Oh, so while we're in the segueing, guys, if you haven't liked and shared, please like and share down at the bottom, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitch. Please like and share. It helps us out more than you realize. Our viewership is continuing to increase, and that like and the share helps more than you guys realize. So thank you.
Also want to let you know, Brett, before we get to you, we have, door prizes we give away every week here. And it's not been a problem, I guess. Over the 16, 17 shows we've done, we've had 2 prizes that haven't been picked up. And we just want to let you know that if you win a prize or if you want to win a prize, make sure you can get in here to the studio at 1414 West Locust Street here in Davenport, right down from the Speedway, and pick up that prize. Because after 1 week, they go back into the prize vault, Pat. And there's,
That's right.
Some cool stuff. I'd like to have at home, too, that we had 2 items over those shows, which isn't bad. It's a very nominal number, but they ended up going back into the prize vault. Because they were not picked up within the week.
That banner is going to get hung in my race shop if somebody doesn't come and claim it.
That's where it's
That's
going.
Right.
I don't blame you one bit. So, finally, I just want to say, we're live here at the Done Right Studio each and every week. Done Right TV and Security Solutions. Buddy of mine didn't like paying the high rates of cable TV. He ended up calling Kelly here at Done Right. They put an on-air TV antenna on top of his house, $250, 100-mile range. He gets 36 channels, and the guy's got polio. He has a hard time getting around, but he was just elated with that. 36 channels, no bill at the end of the month, and that's one of the services they offer right here at Done Right. Now, his neighbor came over and watched the TV, said, my God, I love this. Who do I got to call? The next day, Done Right was over there putting the old style antenna that we used to use with new technology on his roof, and now he ended up getting more than 36 channels.
And it's not that snowy kind of thing. It's like crystal clear, too.
No rabbit ears. You don't have to wrap aluminum foil around it. It's great. So give us a call over here at Done Right. It's 563-355-7490, and I am done talking about Done Right. So Brent Prior, beautiful car, the number 50 there. Now, which chassis was that?
I believe that's the Tri-City Buggy.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, we got that in 85 is when we got the Tri-City Buggy car. It was changed quite a bit. Rick Rogers and Brian Rogers did some work on the back of that. And, helped it a lot.
And that was, they used a 63 Chevy Impala frame underneath that. So if you aren't familiar with those, they got an X under there with a hole in that X, and they had a split drive shaft that had a carrier bearing in the center.
Really?
And it was just kind of a funky thing, kind of a funky choice for Tri-City Buggy. But at that time, Tri-City Buggy was the number 1 chassis manufacturer in the United States. And that was the first modified they built. They wanted somebody in that could wheel it, and they picked Brent Prior. So, Brent, how did you like that car?
I really liked it. When we first got it, it had Heims all over the place. And it was we got it go pretty decent. I won the season championship in Peoria in 1985 with it.
All right.
And then, like I said, Rick Rogers and Brian Rogers come over, and Rick thought that the tail needed to be cut off.
Sure.
It was too long.
Okay.
And he cut like 8 inches off of it, and that car was really fast after that.
Yeah, ain't that crazy?
Wow.
What do we got now? Brent, you were born into a racing family. Wookie, give us the next picture here. I want to take a look at that, and that one is going to be Bill Starr, the number 7, Bob Iracing Chevrolet. One of my favorite drivers when I was growing up, Brent, with all those fluorescent orange stars all over that car.
Love it.
And, of course, your mom, Shirley Prior, was Shirley Starr. It was Bill's sister.
Right. Yeah, my uncle. Yeah, I don't remember seeing him race. I've been over his house several times as a kid.
Sure.
I know his voice was very, very deep. Yeah. So when he spoke, you had to listen to him because it was like, wow, that guy's scary.
Like E.F. Hutton, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so that's one of the members of the family. Yep. And then, Wookie, let's go to the next shot we got.
You realize when you said E.F. Hutton, you just dated us, right?
Right.
Most people will be like, who?
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, huh? Never heard of that.
Is that a law firm? What is that?
Right. There we go. The number 98. That was taken out.
that.
Bluegrass, Iowa.
Look at that.
Slim Pryor, your dad, picking up the checkered flag. And, I mean, what was it like growing up in a racing family, Brent?
Well, that was a little bit before I remember.
Okay.
I remembered him in his super modifieds going
Down
to
at
Burlington.
Yeah.
And he used to, I remember him, he'd be leading the heat race by half a straightaway, full straightaway, and he'd blow an engine.
Yeah.
Oh,
But back then it was Bosco Roberts
Right.
was one of the guys I remember. Gene Jeanette was there. Bobby Lane was there.
Right.
So,
You got any other names, Brent? Who was your favorite driver in super modifieds?
Stony Stone King.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now you told me that before, so I was
Yeah.
hoping you'd remember that. And that picture that we just got rid of, it had a flathead V8 in it, so that was kind of cool. And remember, if you got any questions, please put them in the message board, and we'll get to them as soon as we can.
That's right.
And we're going to give something away later on tonight, and I'm just going to ask Brent Prior here, write down on a piece of paper right now how many career feature wins you had. And I know you're going to fudge it. You know, it's probably going to be 278. But I'll go ahead and go with it, Brent. Okay?
That's just in slot cars alone, though, right?
Yeah, all right. So we're going to get back to that later on. The next picture we got up there, Wookie, let's take a look at that. We're having fun up there. Yeah, that was Dad. And then the one right after that, there's the arrow. Hey, who's that good-looking gal down there next to you?
That's my daughter, Brooke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit, Brent, in addition to being, a hell of a race driver, you love baseball and you coach the Quad City Firebirds.
Fast pitch softball. Yeah.
Fast pitch softball.
Nice.
And what position did your daughter Brooke play?
She was the pitcher and shortstop.
And the shortstop.
So she was pretty talented.
Yeah, she does pretty good.
She does okay.
Yeah.
So, Brent, what was her pitch?
Rise ball.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. And how did they finish each season? Were they a good team, an average team, or?
Yeah, we were considered one of the top teams, probably in the Quad Cities, one of ever.
Yeah.
As far as our record.
Okay.
We had at 14, we had a national event at Green Valley.
Yeah.
There was 156 teams, and we finished 9th.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So that set a record at that time for Quad Cities at a national event as
Yep.
far as being that high of a team.
And Brent, we're going to say, and we haven't asked that question yet, Terry or Linda. So, and Linda, you can't answer. Linda's Brent's wife. Hey, so let's get back to that. Brent, you were a pitcher when you played baseball.
Yep, all the way up to a Legion, and I tried out for the Cincinnati Reds when I was 17.
All right.
Obviously, I didn't make it, or I wouldn't be sitting here
Right.
talking.
Okay. Well, hey.
Yeah, I was. I mean, at that time, I was 17 years old, so that was 1979 or whatever that was. I
Okay.
was throwing 80,
Yeah.
but
That was your heater. 80.
yeah.
Yeah.
But their fastest guy there was 85, but he threw it a lot easier than I did. So
Kyle Hendricks. I mean, his heater's probably it's in the 80s. I mean, but that
that's
guy's
right.
got a lot of other stuff, and
yeah.
Pinpoint control.
he's
Who knows?
probably the best pitcher we got.
If you're
in the
cheap
Cubs,
enough, the
but-
Cubs might come calling.
Well,
Yeah.
when I pitched, you didn't really dig in because you didn't know where that was coming from. But,
Well, I mean, the Cubs got.
so I would have been a good Cub pitcher, wouldn't I?
Yeah, the Cubs got
excellent.
Arrieta. So I mean, I figured you're like right behind Arrieta.
All right.
my
No,
God.
I never knew that. That's cool.
There we go. So, Wookie, what do we got for the next picture coming up here? There we go.
Oh, boy.
Now, hey, that's probably your younger brother. Nice, slim trim, all that stuff, Brent.
Yeah, that was a few pounds ago.
What picture and where was that one from?
That's in Peoria.
Okay.
It must have been a season championship, mid-season for them to introduce us. So that's the only reason I'm standing there, I guess.
Now, Brent, I want to ask you, you always ran Peoria. You loved it down there. I'm going to say even though you run quarter mile and half mile, you were a quarter mile guy.
Yep.
And you were a catfish. You liked to run the bottom.
Yeah. You
What
guys
was
tease
it?
me about that all the
Yeah,
time.
we always did.
Yeah.
So tell me, what did you like about Peoria Speedway? You ran there a lot of years.
As I started racing and learning how to drive,
Yeah.
the hard slick was my favorite because, most
Cream
people may
rises
not
to the
believe
top.
this, but we didn't have big motors in my car.
Yeah.
So
Our first joke of the night.
yeah, right. So I like the hard slick because it didn't take a lot of horsepower. And
You are right, Brent.
we've all been inverted in heat races when it's either soupy or tacky, and it's almost impossible to get to the qualifying spot.
Yeah.
Right.
So when it was slick, it was a little easier. So that's why I like Peoria.
Okay.
Nice.
And then some of the specials they ran down there every year, they'd have the Illinois State Championship. They had the World 100 for modifieds.
Yeah.
Were you ever able to pick off one of those wins in the World 100, Brent?
Yeah. The first one was in '93. I won that one, and then I won the one in '94, and then I got second in '95.
Okay.
Yeah, J.R. McMahill beat me, who was passed away.
Who the good Lord called home already. So,
Yep.
hey, you're going to get beat by somebody. JR's a good man.
Yeah.
But for a
was
3-year
fast.
stretch there, you were the man.
Yeah, and it was in the middle of the day in July, so it was as black slick as it gets. So,
Nice.
Now, Brent, you were still running, a Leaf Spring car back then.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, Jeff Morris is winning in Leafs. I won in Leafs. A lot of people were running those darn things for a lot of years, and finally technology caught up with us and kind of squeezed us out the door, and everybody had to go to bar cars.
Yeah, I'd still rather have my Leaf car.
Yeah, so
You know, you just bolt 50 or 75 pounds on it, and it was the same car every night.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Those things were so forgiving. It was like driving a Cadillac down the interstate, being in one of those cars. And so the Illinois State Championship, were you ever able to pick off one of those, Brent?
No, I've been in the top 3 a couple times, but
Sure.
never got to win one.
All right.
I was at running second one time, got spun out by a lap car. The last one I raced in, I had to go to the back, got a flat, come up to 5th, was passing cars, and all of a sudden the white flag come out, and the race was over, and they said, "Boy, you had a chance to win that if they wouldn't have cut that short."
Yeah.
I go, "What do you mean they cut it short?" I said, "That was 25 laps too short because of curfew."
Right.
So I was up there in the middle of the hard slick, and nobody was up there with me, and we was all in a pack. I just, we had too many wrecks.
You drove for a couple of different people over the years, too. One of them being, tell me the story, because I can't remember, Brent. You ended up jumping in Herschel Roberts' ride. Yeah. And Quad City Camper Sales, they called me up, they talked to you. What was Herschel just wanting to drive the late model more, or what was the whole story behind you getting that ride?
That was Herschel had his one of his big union meetings out of town.
Okay.
And at that time, they were the points leader, and Gene called me and asked me to drive it. Probably the fastest car I've ever been in.
I mean, now when you say big motor, that thing
Big
had
motor.
some
Yeah.
horsepower.
I remember after the heat race, I started toward the back. I ended up 4th, and I come in there, and Gene says, or he didn't say anything. He reached in and hit the tattletale tack, and it said 7,000. And he said, "Get on that car."
Yeah, so that wasn't enough.
That wasn't enough for him. So, so then the feature ended up, I missed winning it by half a car length.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while to get through him. Me and Rick Wages were going at it, and it just took me too long to get by him, and I ran out of time.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, that was the fastest car. I mean, down the straightaway, it was so hooked up.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
At one time, Rob and Bob Tolman were building those B&R modifieds.
Yep. Right.
And you drove one of those, the number 24 car, and
Yep. And
that
I had
was
one of my own.
Right.
Yep.
And so that car was owned by who?
Gene Mavis.
Which was an old figure-8 sportsman driver.
Yep.
And he had a brother named Terry Mavis, which actually camps out at Shady Lakes with us. But
really?
that car, man, I want to tell you what, when he fired that engine up, the ground thundered.
Yes.
And I heard some stories about where that engine came from, but the story was it came from down south.
Yeah, from what I understood, it was from Hendrix.
Yeah.
They actually, they did the machine work. It was assembled up here, but that was the 358.
My God, that car pulled up next to me. I had to look down at my gauges to see if my car was still running.
Yeah, we had 2 motors for that car. They had that one and a 406, and I told them that 358 was faster than that 406 was.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
All 6-inch rods and all the stuff I never had.
Okay. Man.
That was 2 totaling cars that Mavis had, because I got one of them totaled in Jeff Walker's wreck.
Right.
The original one.
The original wreck, and man, that was a horrific night.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've been through a couple of, times that, I'd like to remember or forget. And it was Jeff Walker's wreck, big pile up on the front stretch, ended up taking out the fuel cell in, was that Alan Opendyke's car, the 29? That lost fuel cell. Anyway, the fire ignites, and I mean, my gosh.
Yeah, I got out of the race car because I could feel the heat.
Right.
Ron Sheff had already T-boned me there and shoved my cage clean over to my brake pedal, but I got out of the car and I was sitting there and I said, "Who's the ambulance for?" And they said, "It's Jeff Walker." And I said, "Where is he?" And they said, "He's in there." And you couldn't see nothing but the front bumper.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yep.
I remember going up to the hospital, up to the burn unit, a couple of days after that accident and visiting Jeff. And I mean, literally, when he was walking down to the infield after he got out of the fire, His arms are down to his side, and it looked like candle wax,
Yeah.
just melting off his fingers, but it was his skin.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he lost his racing gloves or something the night before or something, didn't he?
Sure.
Yeah, lost one of them anyway.
I mean, fate.
Right.
You lose your gloves. You always wore gloves, and the night you're not wearing gloves, boom. And after that, it became mandatory that you had racing gloves on. So, something good came out of that. And Jeff, you still see him now and again running in the vintage class.
Yeah, he races again. Yeah.
Yeah. So, good for you, Jeff.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. So, Brent, talk a little bit about when you were driving that Gene Mavis car. I mean, man, that thing was a rocket.
Yeah, they both were tolling cars. The first one I got into before the wreck was the one I won the 83 World 100 for Modifieds in Peoria. I won in Mavis's. I'm sorry, that was the second one I won. In 84 was in Mavis's car.
Yeah.
And again, it was okay.
Yeah.
When it got black slick, it was okay. After we wrecked it and got the other tolling car, that car was a rocket.
Yeah.
And I asked Bobby what the difference was. He said pickup points.
That was
Wherever
it.
they welded the old car, and I said, "You need to build new ones like that." And he said, "Nope, not doing it."
I mean, my God. That,
Yeah, it was. I won twice as many features with that car. Was it Van der Woestijn, I believe, had that
Okay.
when we got it.
Yeah, I want to talk about, the first car you had was a Gremlin,
Yep.
and that was a Dan Norton car.
Yep.
And that, you won a lot of races in that car, Brent.
Yeah, I won the very first heat race I was ever in.
I mean, how do you do that?
Great car. And
Great.
we had my dad, and I had Jim Terry, and back then Bill Fluid. I don't know if anybody remembers him,
yeah.
but they all knew so much about cars, and Dan
Sure.
built it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just turned when I got to the other end.
Yeah. Hey, Wookie, put that next picture up there we got, and we'll take a look at that. Yeah, let's see what, there we go. So as we look at that picture
Look at the track.
and the track, look at that thing. That thing's black slick.
Might be kind of slick.
Yeah,
You've got Marv Jack on the left-hand side.
yes, very good help.
And I'll see him helping Bob Dominaki
Yep,
often.
still does.
Yep. And then Jim Terry right next to him.
Yep.
Okay, and then Brent in the fire suit. And then his mother, Shirley Prior, which was, again, Shirley Starr, maiden name. And then we had next to your mother was Gene
Yep.
and his wife. And who is that next to her?
That's Marty Smith.
That's Marty Smith. That's who that
Yes,
is.
Smith, his brother, raced the 50 car.
Okay.
And he got the 50 car from me.
Right.
He liked watching me race, so that's where his 50 came from.
All right.
Very
And then we had Robin, which was Gene Mavis's daughter.
Yeah. She was
next to that.
quite the pit crew. She'd crawl underneath and pull gears out,
didn't care.
trannies out. No, she didn't care.
I mean, I'm telling you, that was, a sight to see. You got a girl that crawls underneath her.
Yeah.
She don't care if the gear lube runs on her or what
Yeah.
happens.
Now, that was the 94 World 100.
That was 94 World of 100.
Yeah.
And so that car would have been what kind of car, Brent?
That was the tolling car.
It was a
that
tolling
was
car.
the one before Walker's wreck.
Okay.
And the funny part about that is we won that race. I went to Peoria the next night, and hot laps, I burned a piston.
Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
so it was just laps away
Just
from not
made the
finishing.
100 laps.
Wow.
Yeah.
know what?
Also, that race, I took my Dayton car,
Yeah.
and the agreement was I drove Gene's car a couple nights, and I drove mine at Princeton.
Okay.
So we made a deal that whichever car time trialed faster
Yeah.
would be the one that I would race in the
Okay.
feature if I could get them both in. And that one was just ticks faster than my car.
All right.
And I qualified both of them.
Okay.
And I tried to get Rodney Bowman to drive my other car, and the promoter wouldn't let him because he blew in hot laps, so he didn't attempt to qualify a car, so he wouldn't let him race it.
Oh, my God.
But I got both of them in the race.
All right. Great story. So, hey, I want to ask you, Brent, we ask a lot of drivers this. Racing superstitions. Now, Gary Webb used to talk about how if he pulled into the racetrack and his odometer was on an even number, that he was going to have a bad night. And if it was on an odd number, he felt like he was going to have a good night. And finally, he taped, put electrical tape over the odometer so he couldn't see it. Now, Matt Ryan, he talked about, some superstitions he had last week when we had him on the show. Did you have any superstitions, Brent?
Not really.
I mean, we're all racers.
We all were, the same. You got your favorite T-shirt that you wear all the time. And,
Okay,
the
there you
parents
go.
with the peanuts and the green that you couldn't have. But
That's right.
me, I don't think I really had anything other than my clothes,
Right.
and T-shirts or whatever.
Was there a time when that T-shirt started getting a little ripe?
Maybe. You know, Rick Stone always tell you that I always had a hat stuffed in my shirt.
Okay.
Because back then I actually had hair.
Yeah.
And he'd always say I always had to have my hat in there. So one night we're starting in the back of the feature. I don't know where we were. We didn't qualify very well. And I got in the car and he goes, "You want your hat?" I said, "No, we ain't going to win this."
Yeah.
And I won it. Of course, you got your hair sticking all over the place now. So he never does that
Look
again.
like a
No.
bozo, you
I
know.
don't care if I start 50th. I got to put my hat in my suit.
Oh my God! Talk about when you guys went down to race with your uncle.
We've went a couple times down there. The time in Holt Summit, Capital Speedway,
Right.
was Cam 2 Nationals.
Yeah.
And until then, I'd never been on nothing but a quarter mile. So we went down there, and for whatever reason, my car was, again, almost twice as fast than everybody else, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And so we went out. We're leading the heat race. I get a flat.
Okay.
So then I have to run the semi. I won the semi. Then I won the trophy dash. And then we started the feature. My uncle he's starting up in me in the race. He started the feature in front of me. He gets in a wreck. I pile into it.
Oh.
The guy leans in the wind. He goes, "Brent, I think your center bolt's broke." So I'm like, I'm done.
We're done.
So I'm sitting in the car, got my helmet off, and they're towing me in. And Jim Terry, that was in that picture, I hear him yelling at people to get stuff. I don't know what he's yelling.
Right.
And I hear the impact running. Pretty soon they set me on the ground. They say, "Go." Well, what he'd done is he'd wrapped a log chain around my housing
Your
and
axle
then
tube.
run the links up through the U-bolts, and that's what he tied the rear end
Yeah.
with. On a restart.
On a
He
restart.
had all that done.
Wow.
So I didn't know. So I go out within like 5 or 6 laps. I'm leading it.
Yeah.
So, again.
Yeah.
So then as we're going on, I can hear my tires squalling, but
Yeah.
this is the second year I ever drove, so I'm thinking I'm the only one slowing down, that
Right.
I'm getting loose. So I just kept going and going until I finally spun it out.
Hammer down, baby.
Spun it out.
Oh my God.
And I must have sat there 3 seconds before second place got there. I mean, I was that far ahead.
And tell us, Brent, you're sitting in the infield, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm still not over it. That was in 1985. I'm
Right.
still not over it.
Okay. You know, when you talk about stuff like that, stuff drives you nuts. Now, late Jim Willard. We're running in, would have been 1987. We're over at Davenport. It's a Red Baron Pizza 50. They fly Kenny Schrader in on a biplane because Red Baron was Junie Dunlopy's sponsor in the Cup. So we're out there running the feature, and Jim Willard's leading it, and I'm running second, and the laps are winding down. And all of a sudden, I start getting water and oil on my face shield, and I pull a tear off. I went to wipe it, and it smeared, and I said, "Oh, that's not a good plan." So I
see
pull my
nothing.
tear off. So I'm looking at my gauges, and I'm so wrapped up in what I think is my engine letting go, when the reality was it was Jim Willard's engine letting go. And we get the waving green flag, and I think, hey, I'm gonna run this thing in second, and did not move the outside lane. I had the power to pass Jim Willard, and as we come across the line for the checkered flag, kapow, man, he blows his upper radiator hose, and it looked like, just a geyser coming out of that thing. And they rolled her up against the fence over at Davenport Speedway, got out of the car, and he's standing on the hood just thrusting his arms into the air. And, I'm glad Jim won it. But that race haunts me because it wasn't my motor. It wasn't going south. And, I should have just gassed her up and went for it. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something. That lit a fire in me the rest of 87. And there was no more following, man. I didn't care what it was going to take. We were going to take that thing to the front.
Yeah, I got several of them.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how no matter how many wins you get, you always remember the ones that you didn't get?
Yes.
Because I have a lot of wins that I don't remember. I ran ran hundreds of races a year or 100 races a year.
Yeah.
And most of them I don't remember.
Yeah, you drive my dad nuts as I'd come in, win the feature or whatever, and you go, "Boy, that was awesome how you passed so and so and like 4th or 5th," and I was like, "I don't remember passing him at all." He goes, "How do you not remember that?" And I said, "That's not the one I'm after."
I get that a lot.
I remember the leader and maybe the guy in second if it's somebody, one of your rivals.
Yeah.
But going through the field, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I've gotten that a lot in the sprint car.
Yeah.
So, Brent, we talked about quarter mile, half mile. Do you have a favorite track that you ran at over the years?
Peoria and Princeton.
Okay. Princeton. Let's talk about Princeton.
Yeah.
Tell us about the unique shape of that racetrack.
D-shaped.
D-shape.
Yeah, and part that probably got most people is when you come out of 4, the track, I think, shrunk like 10 feet.
Yeah.
So if you were on the high side in 4, you better
Big
get
trouble.
down.
Yeah.
There's been several guys that didn't
And when
make
Brent says get down, he doesn't mean start dancing.
No.
it. No. There's been a lot of wrecker calls over there.
Oh my God. Pat, did you ever run there at Princeton?
I did. I ran a midget there, and
Okay.
and yes, he's not kidding. Boy, you'd run. It's like a half mile through 1 and 2, and you come through.
Yep.
You come around 3, and then 4 is pointing right at the main grandstands.
Yep.
You go out of 4, and then make about a 90-degree left, like you're going down to the end of the block and turn.
Yeah. I remember watching Duke Benniger. Remember him?
Oh my God, yeah.
Come up there. He raced modified, I think, maybe 1 year or 2. He following him in hot laps coming around there, and I don't know if his throttle stuck, but you could see his wheels turn left, and he went straight on into that where you said that 90-degree turn. Yeah, you could see the whole car just buckle up. It was like, oh, I didn't need to see that.
Yeah, it was like 70 mile an hour to 0, and
Yeah, there was no glancing at the way he hit it.
just absolutely
Especially
crazy.
at that place. But I tell you what, every time we ever ran there, that place was absolutely jam-packed.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely
that track.
jam-packed, yeah.
That's right.
And Brent, let's talk about the old IMCA National Series. Man, it was kind of like what the Deary Series was before it changed, and now the Hooker Trucking East Series. Just a great racing series, and we went up to Tipton to run that National Series a couple of years. Tell me about that.
Yep. 1988 was the first one.
All right.
Never been to Tipton before.
Okay.
And drew the front row after qualified. Won my heat, drew the front row, and me and Gary Reinhardt went at it for most of the race, and I ended up winning it.
Yeah.
And then 89, I went back again for the National and won it again.
How about
Wow.
Yeah, that was Johnny Spa and Terry Ryan
Yeah.
were up in the front of that one.
You know, we look up there, old Rick Stone saying, remember the big race we went over Bob Pierce? That was at National down at Princeton, and I think, Brent, you were top 5 that night.
Yeah, I watched you two go at it.
Yeah. Well, we were going at it, man. I'm going to tell you what, if there's one thing that builds your confidence, you look back at some of the races you won, and I think, here's Bob Pierce with Bobby Pierce for a son, and he's got the Pierce race cars, and, that win meant a lot to me.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
He was a hell of a guy. And Brent, I remember we pulled in the racetrack that night. That trophy was 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
And
I always hunted those out. The trophies, like, look, I want that one.
yeah. Well,
Now I don't have any of them left.
Yeah, I know. I got one of yours, Brent.
Yeah.
So I would look at that 6 foot trophy, and I thought, I can't look at it. It's going to curse me. I'm not going to win tonight.
Right.
So I refused to look at it. And until I was standing down Victory Lane getting interviewed, I didn't look at that 6 foot trophy.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, see, when you don't get paid, like we didn't get paid,
No.
the trophy was what you wanted.
That was the thing.
With the check.
Yeah, the one at Holt Summit, where my uncle run, Capital Speedway, they gave a grandfather clock to the track champion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And, one of the things about racing that's changed, too, is the cost of racing. And back then, Brent, I mean, we've talked about it before. If you're a young kid sitting in the stands, you say, hey, I want to go racing. Today your options, running the 4-cylinder sport compacts.
Yeah. And
there's nothing wrong with those. They're great cars, put on a great show. But the modifieds were affordable back then. And back then, those IMCA Modified National Series races we're talking about back in the 80s were paying $1,000 to win.
Wow.
And literally, Brad DeBill, a brand new car in 1987, a brand new roller minus motor, was $7,000. And back then, they had the 4 tires and wheels on them. And so we built a lot of our own stuff like Brent's family did. We had $3,500 in our car. Wow. We won 3 nationals in about a week and a half time, and we basically had paid the car off, and we were a week and a half into race season.
And the cars themselves really haven't changed that much to today, other than the advancements in technology.
Yeah.
That's impressive, though.
Yeah.
That the year that we won the Nationals, that was the year that my buddy Tom Herbert claimed me. I won 7 features, got claimed 5 times.
I got to tell you a
barred
funny
from East
story
Moline.
like that.
Yeah.
Now, Tom Herbert, tell him, he ended up going on to working for IMCA.
Yeah, he owned his Quad City Used Auto Parts, and he would, from what I understand, my engine would be in the next day in parts. Sam, his brother, bought my spark plug wires.
It was funny.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have those $high wires on it.
That's
right.
Blue Max. That's the only thing I had expensive.
They're Blue Max
Prior
wires.
special.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so
With
we
my
walked into
Race it
Herbert's
on
that day.
Sunday, and it's on sale on Monday.
with my cast pistons. That
Right.
I thought I had to have.
He's like, hey, you guys need any plug wires, distributor cap, or blah, blah, blah. And we're like, hey, yeah. We'll go ahead and take plug wires. They look brand new. And so I called Brent up because we were all friends. And I mean, his dad was like Rumpelstiltskin. He was ready to stomp his foot on the ground and just split in half.
Oh yeah. After the 5th time, it got a little touchy there. But
Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Rick Stone says, I remember when Brent's dad was going to punch Herbert, and he hit me instead.
Yeah,
How'd that work? What's that story, Brent?
I don't. It was during a claim.
Yeah.
So sometimes after 3rd or 4th time, it got pretty heated between them.
Yeah.
Tom Herbert and Jim Terry, and I think my dad just had enough and swung at him, and Rick was going to step in the way and stop it, and he got popped instead. So.
Oh, Stoney. My God. Well, he took one for the team.
That's
that
right.
night.
Yeah. He manned up and took one for the team right there. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I
And
remember-
I'll tell you that engine claim rule back then. I'm going to say in 1985 we lost 7 motors. 86 we lost 9. But 87 we had 13 motors claimed. And I'm going to tell you,
Yes.
we went down to Knoxville, Illinois, and they had National down there, and we won that thing. And Norton told me, he said, whatever you do, don't win the feature. I mean, this is your car owner telling you that.
I
He
think
said,
you
"We're out of
remember
motors."
telling me that.
He said, we got the last motor, we own in your car. Don't win the feature. So I'm going to lead it for a while and just have a little fun. Well, man, Waving Green comes out, and I kind of start soft pedaling it a little bit, rolling it into the turn real smooth, coming off smooth. And now I got the white flag, and there's nobody passing me. And I thought, well, hammer down time.
That's
so
right.
We picked off the win. So I go down there to Dan. We got our engine claimed. So we had $350 from that. We had $500 he'd given me for a little, cash money for the race team and to claim a motor, which I didn't claim it because we got claimed. And it was 1,000 to win. So we pull up outside the power company. Dan's working 3rd shift there, and he comes running up the fence. He's like a little kid in a candy store. What'd we get? What'd we get? And I said, well, here, we got a trophy. We got 1,000 for winning, and somebody bought our motor, so here's the $350. And I got to tell you, that's probably one of the first times that a guy has ripped his driver apart for winning the feature.
Yeah. Who tells a race driver, hey, don't win?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't win.
Do they not know?
Well, that last claim that I got barred from East Moline,
Yeah.
my dad was in Missouri, and I called him on the phone and said, can I go to East Moline and race? He goes, no, because you'll get claimed. I said, I'm not gonna win. He goes, well, you got no pit crew. So I went up there and I won, and then they claimed it, and I had to refuse it, and they barred me. And he's like, I told you so.
Oh, Brad.
Yeah.
Man, how do you like that?
Yeah.
There's another funny story I want you to tell about your mom. Now, Brent's mom was tough as nails. And I remember there's a particular driver who had a wife that was always, running her mouth down the pit area. And I remember one night Brent's mom telling her, you sit your down or I'm going to knock you down. And that's the first time I seen that lady, who will remain nameless, sit down in the bleachers. You didn't hear a peep out of her the rest of the night. So Brent lived in Hillsdale, and he lived right off 88. And so mom's living alone. The good Lord's called Dad home, and a burglar breaks into the house.
Yeah. And the gun, the 22, which she used for protection, was down in the foyer with him.
Yeah.
Leaning up against the crack, behind the door and stuff. And she got up yelling at him and telling him he needed to get, his butt out of the house. And he wasn't leaving. He said, it was cold. You might as well call the police because I'm not walking out of here. So that's what she did. But, yeah, she wasn't afraid to say anything.
And Brent, remember, so Mom gets a 22 and holds him at bay. And, hey, as long as we're waiting on the cops, she made a pot of coffee. The police get there, and the burglar is drinking a cup of coffee. And Brent's mom's sitting there with a 22 and a cup of coffee. Now, that's a tough mom.
That's a tough mom.
She was something else.
And Brent, she didn't move out of that house. I mean, she was there till the day that the good Lord called her home.
Yeah. In fact, when my dad passed away in 91, she actually paid for the race car.
Yeah.
Did she
did, so.
Yeah. And if I'd have knew then how broke she was, I wouldn't have let her do it. But I didn't. My business was my business. But, yeah, she paid for all of it.
Wow.
So that being said, I wasn't very aggressive. I didn't tear my cars up because a lot of that stuff, my dad would jump down me anyway, but we couldn't afford to fix that stuff.
Once again, hey, if you're joining us late, we want to let you know that Rob Tolan had something come up last minute, and so Brent Prior was gracious and came on the show, and we got a lot of great stories going on now. So
Without a
thanks
doubt.
for tuning in. Scott Durbin, my Uncle John would run Junkyard Motors. When he would get claimed, he would laugh and say, go ahead, it won't last another race. Now, I remember, Don Vanderheyden buying one of those motors off John Durbin, and John laughed about it and said, hey, this thing's junk, and John had won the feature, and Vanderheyden put that thing in, blew it up in hot laps the next night.
Yeah, I guess, some of them guys ring them out anyway. Their cars ain't hooked, but, they used to, remember they put oiling systems on them? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
I won't
Mike
mention
Cothran.
name. Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say names, but, and some people welded their heads
Yeah.
onto the motor.
So Cothran had, he's running motors. He's tired of getting claimed. He ended up winning the IMCA National Championship in '84. So to keep from getting claimed, they put an oiling system on their motor, dumped into the headers, white flag lap. Man, that thing would start smoking like a bear. You'd think it's ready to let go. So nobody buy it. But after about the third feature win with that thing smoking on the white flag, IMCA
Everybody
figured it
caught on.
out. And, we had a new rule in the rule book about if you're caught with an oiling system.
I love it.
If you're caught welding your motor together,
I love
if
it.
you're caught welding your motor mount hole shut,
Yeah.
the small block Chevy used to have side mounts on it, and which most people ran, but a few ran the front mounts like they were on a 57 Chevy. And so they were still on small block Chevys, into the 90s. And so people would weld up the bolt holes on the side. So if you claim my motor, you're not going to be able to put any motor mounts on it anyway.
Right.
And they'd run the front mount and a motor plate. And so that was another new rule. They came up with an IMCA and just said, hey, no more welding your bolt hole shut.
Yeah, it was always amazing. Cothran would be leading the feature, and all of a sudden he'd start smoking. And then once the claim was over, nobody claimed it. He didn't smoke when he'd leave. It's like, he's not smoking no more.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. So, Brent, I want you to write down there, too, how many heat race wins you think you had in your career. And we're going to add those two together for total wins.
I like that. That's a good call.
That's right. Come on, Brent. We got stuff to give away. All right, there we go. So here we go, fans. We're going to be giving away a banner. Brent's going to autograph, as soon as the show's over. It'll be here at 1414 West Locust Street here in Davenport, Iowa. But remember, you've got 1 week to pick it up. When next Monday rolls around, if it hasn't been picked up, it goes back into the prize vault. And we want to get stuff
in
away.
the race shop, either one.
Yeah, we've given a lot of stuff away. I'm going to say 99% of it's
Yeah.
been picked up, but we have two that weren't. And we're just going to stick those back in the prize vault. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to ask you people to start guessing how many total wins he had. And
Now,
when
this is features and heat races.
feature and heat. And what we're going to do is it goes by what we see on our screen.
Right.
Because of the internet and all that stuff. You might think you won on your screen because you had the first guess that was correct. It's all about our screen. It's kind of like going to the racetrack and you come across the scales 20 pounds light and you tell me, Shane, it weighed what it was supposed to weigh at my house. Well, we're not
Right.
using your scales.
That's right.
We are using the track scales tonight. So,
That's
all right. A lot of good guesses coming up on that board. And just keep on guessing. Wookie, what do we got next for a picture? Brent, what
Look
car
at
was
that.
that?
That
That
was
looks like Tipton or Peoria.
That's Peoria. That
is
was
Peoria.
Tolan chassis.
Okay, another
Yeah.
B&R car.
Yeah, I got to put a black body on it once my dad passed away. We could run. He would never let me run a black car
Yeah,
Really?
because he said you can't see them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that, too.
And I did too. I was running second one time at East Moline, and Hickson was leading it, and he was kicking our butt pretty good, so he was like a straightaway ahead.
Yeah.
And he broke the drive shaft or something, and instead of pulling off, he just coasted up in turn one and sat there, and I didn't see him till like 30 feet before I got to him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I hit him pretty hard.
Pow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Man.
But yeah, that was pretty. Tolan's car. I won a lot of races in that car. That's the same one that is the black and white one that I had for the slot car. That's
Okay,
picture.
nice.
That's the same car.
Okay.
Very cool.
What do we got next, Wookie, for a picture?
One of the things I always like to ask,
There it is.
Brent,
Same car.
Same car.
Yep.
I love
Okay.
the Made Right car. How did you come up with the 50? Where'd the 50 come from? What's the story behind your car number?
Originally, my dad was number 7, and so that's what I was that's what I wanted to be. But I believe at that time Jim Metlin
Had the
and
number
the
7.
Norden car had the number 7.
Yep.
And Bobby Stockdale also had a 50, but that year at East Moline, he didn't run East Moline for whatever reason.
Okay.
And my parents were big fans of Benny Hofer, so
Okay,
that's where it came
nice.
from. Yep.
Did not know that. So that's a kind of a throw-over from Benny Hofer, huh?
Yep.
Very nice.
And then on my cars, all of them had the Mini Brute, and that
Yeah.
was from my dad's.
Oh, very cool.
Super modified. Yeah.
Very cool.
And so on a quarter panel, we got B&R Fabrication.
Yep.
Now, all through the years, Brent, tell me, you had Johannes Bus Service for a sponsor.
Yep.
I remember that on all your cars. Who knew who to get that sponsor?
Well, years ago, my mom used to drive a school bus.
Okay.
So that's where
I believe that.
knowing Johannes, and
Yeah.
I think,
Still don't have a winner. Keep guessing.
And that's
I
where all
think-
of her toughness came from.
right? Yeah, and she worked at Alcoa. She drove dump trucks.
Nice.
Yeah, my mom did all of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, they always they sponsored us. I bet you probably 18 of the 20 years that I raced.
Yeah.
Bob Danielson, you are high.
Long time racing supporters. Rock
Yep.
Island.
Brooke,
Fisher
Linda is my stepmom, and she is beautiful. Yeah. You got, a beautiful mother and a beautiful stepmother. I love them both. Gould Stack Tim. I know a Tim Gould. But who's this Gould Stack Tim guy? 210, you are high. You guys just keep guessing. Bob Miller, you are low. We're going to keep things rolling. What do we got for another pick, Wookie? Let's roll
You add
through
them
this.
you add them
Time is
together?
flying by. And that, give
Because
me
if you
that
were
pen.
Tim wasn't low if you're adding them together.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Boom. Oh. So another picture. That win was down at Peoria?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Wookie, let's get back to the
How
board.
many
I'm going to
total
see what
wins
we
did
got.
you win at down Peoria? Because it seemed like
At that track?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
All the time.
I won't tell you the amount, but I would say probably 80-90% of my wins were in Peoria.
All right.
I won
Seemed
a
like
lot
you
in
always
Princeton.
won down there.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's clarify things. I had to add those two numbers together. Carl Thompson, you are high. And
Yeah, Gould was
Jesse
low.
Westfall, you are low. Gould, you were the closest. I give Gould, you're low. And so we're getting there. Gould's at 175. You're still low.
Yeah. That's a lot of wins.
So let's roll on to the orange car. We got a picture of that one, Wookie. That probably would have been the last picture that you had on your list of cars. There we go.
Oh, yep.
Now, Brent,
You said orange car, and I'm like, orange car?
Yeah.
Orange car.
no. Brent ended up, driving for Bob Dominacki there for a little while, and this was down at Peoria. But tell me how you come about jumping in one of the Dominator's cars. He had two of them. How'd you get in one of them?
Marv, Jack, who was my pit crew.
Right.
Once my mother passed away, and that was in 90, well, it would have been the beginning of 98.
Okay.
Then Marv decided that he wanted to race.
All right.
So we went down to Missouri and got a car from my uncle that he raced his modified and started that, and we had terrible luck with that car. Couldn't get it to go anywhere. Just it was horrible. So we got at the end of that year. He was like, you know what, this is too expensive. We weren't really making any money, and we still had the motor from it. And Dominic called and asked me if I wanted to drive that car, and we put Marv's motor in it.
Oh man.
And run it. That was 2003. That was the last year I raced.
Now that was a stealth car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So Brent, that was the last year you raced. That was probably your last feature win.
Yep.
But tell me about when the U.S. MTS boys rolled into town down at Peoria.
Yeah. It was in that car, and then they had the passing points. Which that's the first time I ever did that. I like that.
Still no winner.
So I drew like the last row, fifth row in my heat,
Jesse, you're low.
and went out and got third in the heat. Ended up with third highest passing points out of 60-some
Mark, you're low.
cars. Started second row in the feature. First turn, I took the lead, and when I took the lead, I've been around there so many times. I thought there's no way nobody's catching me.
You got it in the bag.
Yeah, it's the way I come out of that corner. It's like it's over.
And with the U.S. MTS guys, I mean, you're talking about Kelly Shryock,
Yes.
the best of the best in modifieds.
Don
Run
Linger,
that series.
I think, was
Yeah,
there.
Tom Donlinger, yeah.
John Bull was there.
Yeah.
Bruce Hanford was there. So I come out of there, and it's like, well, this car's a rocket
You're
ship.
low, Jesse.
And then about 5, 6, 7 laps into the race, all of a sudden I couldn't get in the turn anymore. I'd lift and it'd try to spin itself out.
Yeah.
So I hung on and got fifth.
Hey, which is
what happened?
We don't know. I don't know if a shock was hanging up. I mean, I was cranking brake, and so I had to slow down so early to get in. Then here comes Kelly Shryock and ate me up. So.
Greg Larson says I'm supposed to talk to you about talking to a dog in the yard. What's that, Brent?
Well,
Was that one of those parties after the races?
we spent too much time under the grandstands. And, time we got to his house, me and the German Shepherd had a little talk out in the front yard.
I have a feeling there's going to be a couple of people doing that at the Outlaw show here.
Oh, I think that's true.
Yeah. I loved racing in Peoria.
You know, one thing about Peoria is when we were running down there, we never went home that night. We had plans to go home that night. Yeah. And, you know, all of a sudden everybody'd start drinking a few sodas, having a good time. And
sodas.
Before you know it,
Sodas.
Sodas. Quotations.
That's soda.
And, you know, I got to laugh. I'm driving down the interstate the next day going home. It's like 10 in the morning. My eyes are bloodshot. I'm tired.
Yes.
We got a race that night. And I look over, and blowing by me was Mike Cothran. He'd been down in Peoria all night. Then another car blows by me. I look over, it's Bobby Tolan. I mean, I've got all these racers that got to run that night. They're all
on their way home,
partying down in Peoria all night, too.
The best part about Peoria is, you know, when the races are over, you had to pull around to the stands to get your money and stuff.
258 is low.
And people would just sit there and, you know, drink and have a good time till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Jim Terry, my old mechanic,
pop.
we'd pull up there and he'd just go to sleep in the truck because he knew it was going to be a couple hours before we got back.
Oh,
But there's no fighting. I mean, I wouldn't say ever, but not like a lot of the tracks do.
That, you know, it's one of the things
is
talking
low.
about the upcoming race at Davenport, it being an event. It's kind of like the Knoxville Nationals, that when I was a racer, I never got to participate in that because, you know, you guys got to hang around and party and do some of that stuff after.
Low.
We were always on the road, you know. So as soon as the race was over, we get paid. And then
280
it was
is
highway.
close. You're getting hot
because we were on our way somewhere else. So, did you? Outside of Peoria in the immediate area, how far away did you run from the Quad Cities? Did you ever run any further away, any of the big shows out in Boone or anywhere like that?
Well, Missouri would have been the farthest that I went.
Gus Grip, you are very
I wanted to go
close.
to Boone, but as soon as my dad found out they started 3 wide, he says, "You're not going to Boone." So,
Jesse Westfall is a winner at 285.
Oh, very nice.
285 wins was the magic number. Now, Jesse, I know you live down south. You've got to come up here to the studio in Davenport, Iowa. We are on Locust Street, 1414 West Locust Street, right down from Davenport Speedway, and pick up your banner. You've got 1 week to pick it up. Next Monday, it goes back into the prize vault.
That's right.
So that is our winner.
I already got a pit crew guy up there. Tim Gould said he'll help me pit. He stinks at tires, though. So, there we go.
So Jesse Westfall was the first 285. Bob Miller come in with the right number, but he was late. We're going to put down Jesse Westfall.
Yep, we see that, Jesse. Jesse says donate it to a kid.
Oh, we're going to do that.
Yeah, we
okay.
can do that.
So, hey, here we go. Brent, tell us something nobody knows about you. You know, I know you played baseball. I know you're a pitcher. You drove race cars. Are there other things? I mean, your wife's got a hobby that's real cool.
Yeah, she raises monarch butterflies.
There you go, raising monarch butterflies.
Yeah, that's what she's doing right now.
And I got to tell you something. I started seeing monarchs again about 2 years ago. And, you know, Brent's wife, I mean, how many does she release in a year, Brent?
500, 600, 700.
Wow. Tell me the story
She
about
got a butterfly shed in the yard.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a butterfly
And she
shed.
does seminars. She's going to go around to, they invite her to like old people, hospice care.
Yeah.
And she's going to take the butterflies and show them. And she gives away shoe boxes with a chrysalis that all you got to do is just watch it and wait till the butterfly comes out in a week or so.
Yeah.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, she devotes her life to it.
Wow.
And Brent, tell me about those butterflies. Where do they fly to when they leave here?
Well, there's 3 different stages of butterflies. The third one ended up being in Mexico.
Flying down to Mexico.
And there's a place where there's literally millions of them on the trees. And that's where they do their thing, and then they start all over again.
I mean, you're talking about, could a butterfly from here fly to Mexico?
Yeah, they have the first ones, and they don't live as long in those for whatever reason. They live long enough to fly
No kidding.
all the way there.
Man,
Yeah.
Wow.
we got to figure out a way to,
Yeah.
you know, put some seats in that thing and write them
I
down.
know. It sounds
Make
like
a little
my
money.
it's like my vacation, you know. Fly down
So,
there
yeah,
for spring break.
That's what she does. I know more about butterflies than I thought I ever would.
Now, Brent, do you have any other hobbies other than real racing?
I do iRacing,
Yeah.
and I play golf.
Okay. So, Iracing Golf, what are you better at?
iRacing.
Okay. All right.
I was just going to
Yeah,
invite
I've
him to
tried-
play golf.
I can hack with you. I can hack that. I'm not very good, but low 90s player. But I try to get Pat over there, the sprint car guy in the virtual reality. He hasn't made it over there yet.
No,
What
I haven't
the
done
heck?
that. I know.
You know what? And I got to tell you, I sat down, I strapped on my brother's, what do they call those glasses?
VR headset.
VR headset, okay?
Yeah, Shane couldn't do it.
I got sick.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's like a drug dealer. It's like, you know what? Come on,
Come on
just
over.
try
Yeah.
it. Just
Yeah,
try it.
well, see,
you know.
Shane got kind of thrown into it, trying to run the dirt, and the dirt's you get to
Right.
swerving, oversteering, and then with the virtual headset, it can make you nauseous.
Yep.
But
See, my
I
brother
would, I
didn't
would let
say-
you do a truck,
Yeah.
like a Dover or something, till you got used to it.
Now, Brent, he's got common sense. You know, he puts me in a truck at Dover. I'm going to kind of gradually work my way into, running a sprint car. But no, my brother, he kind of puts me in dirt. And, I'm going to tell you what, I got sick to my stomach. I said, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that are like that have run the VR things that have upset them,
Yeah.
especially the ones that either have a VR headset or the ones that have motion in them. There are a
Yeah.
lot of guys that just that little movement makes them sick.
You still being a race car driver, I don't think it would bother you.
I don't think so.
The
It's
most
never
I ever
been
had was I first come out of the pits and the car would wiggle, and then it would kind of. But once I got on the gas and started racing, it really doesn't bother you.
All right. Hey, I'm looking at the time. We got to wrap this thing up. We've been on the air over an hour.
Time flies.
Thanks for coming on, Brent. You got any closing words of wisdom for anybody out there, fans, wife, daughter?
No, be kind. I don't know what else.
All right. That sounds
This
good.
world's getting tough.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
It is.
My God.
It is.
Hey, and you're still working at
Sears Seating in Davenport.
started a new job.
Yeah, 25 years I've been there.
Yeah. And you're doing what now?
I'm the setup guy for the welders, the MIG welders in there, so I kind of make sure they have their jobs and stuff every day.
Very cool.
So
They're
you
racking my
probably
brains.
you probably got 3 or 4 fixtures that you use when you set up those seats.
Yeah, or several hundred.
Several hundred. Oh my God.
Yeah,
all
they're
of a sudden a chassis rolls by in the middle of it.
Yeah, if you ever got a broken pipe, I can hook you up
There
there.
you go.
Yeah. Pat, got any words of wisdom before we get off the air?
You know what? I'm gonna say it one more time. Make sure you like and share. It really helps us out. We also help spread the word. Like to shout out to everybody that's watching. Also, one of the things that I thought about at the races, and I didn't get to a lot of races this last weekend, is utilizing that social media when you're at the races too. So if you guys go to see a race this weekend, just post on your social media that you're there. Or do that check-in thing.
Only the good stuff.
Yeah.
We get a lot of
Share it
negative
with-
stuff.
Share it with people. Yeah, just to post and to share that you're at the races with your friends and enjoying yourself.
Good. Carl Thompson up there, Shane Pan. I really look forward to Monday nights to this show.
Thank
you and great job. Hey, we have a lot of fun. You know what? I love racing. I love the race fans. I love the track. I mean, I love everything about it. So, in closing, I'd leave you with 2 thoughts. Man, if you're tired of paying high cable rates, dish rates, whatever it may be, give them a call over here at Done Right, and they can hook you up with just an antenna on top of your house like the good old days. But these things today are high-tech. They've got a 100-mile range. You'll get about 35, 37 channels, 39, depending on where you're at, and you don't get a bill every month. And you can give them a call at 355-7490, and they will get you hooked up. And finally, a couple of weeks coming up here, August 26th, 27th, 28th, World of Outlaws at Davenport Speedway. 3 nights of great racing action, and there's nothing better than the smell of racing fuel and watching door-banging late models at Davenport Speedway.
I can't wait.
All right. Well, hey, with that being said, God bless all you great race fans. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and we'll be seeing you around the track. Good night.